Hi everyone, in this video I want to speak about the difference between unconditional love and divine love. And you're watching me, Shruti, on the channel Living Our Ascension. So somebody in my previous video that was Divine Love as Service, I made a video like this and someone commented something about unconditional love. So I thought that I would make this video because it's important. And these two words, they're not just words, it's not just that we define love as unconditional and or divine interchangeably. Both of these, unconditional love and divine love, actually refer to two different vibrations that we move through along the ascension process, and these are very important stages as well. So I wanted to shed some light on that today. So I guess, let's just dive into it. When it comes to unconditional love, now this comes after the stage of purification. So if you know anything about the chakras, we have known, traditionally speaking, 7 chakras, although now new humans, we are activating the higher chakras as well, so it's no more just the 7 chakras. But traditionally speaking, all of these decades and stuff, we in the spiritual community, there was talk of the 7 chakras, and the highest one is the crown chakra, which is the clear or white color, and it relates to the receptivity of divine light, of the white light. So once we move beyond this stage, then the higher chakras start to activate, which are not in the body per se, and then when we activate those, then we become a grander being. It's kind of like, we ground them into our being, and then these higher qualities open up. So the unconditional love vibration as well as the divine love vibration are related to these higher levels. And before this, we go through the transmutation process, which is related to the violet flame, and that's kind of related to the third eye chakra as well, because it's the same color, violet. And then after that, when we once we remove ourselves from identification of wounds and knowing ourselves as the old, then that transmutation process happens when we are able to hold space, and then the crown chakra opens up to divine light, and then the ascension column, the white light column, starts to descend in the body. And that is the level of the crown chakra, when we become connected to the divine, essentially, and we know ourselves as pure. And the thing is that at these levels, they relate to the 4th dimension. When it comes to unconditional love, this is actually the upper 4th dimension. So in the lower 4th dimension, we are still doing some of that purification process, and we know, at the same time, we know ourselves as something greater than the physical body. So we would be moving through the astral levels, and the astral levels, the lower astral levels, the lower 4th dimensional levels, they hold a lot of impurities. There's a lot of these beings that attach to humans who don't fully know themselves in power yet. And if you know something about this, then you know that this is the condition of our planet, or has been. Of course, now, everything's changing as we choose it to be. But once we move through that level, then we move to the higher 4th dimensional level, and this is the unconditional love level. And unconditional love is related to the pink color, like I have on right now. So it's the rose pink or soft pink kind of an essence. It's a feminine kind of an energy. So this feminine space is related to receptivity and to creativity as well. And there's a reason that it's called unconditional love, because at this level, we now are able to fully hold space for ourselves and others. And whatever comes into our field, we no longer judge it. We no longer have those judgments about it, and we know ourselves as pure as well as others as pure. So that judgment has gone, and this is the space of unconditional love. It's able to receive everyone with that divine receptivity that is associated with the feminine. And this is also because we have reached a level of purity within ourselves. So this is also a level that is associated with creativity. So this is, when the juicy stuff starts to happen in our ascension, the fun stuff. And before this, we might be going through these intense initiations of purification, and then suddenly we start becoming very creative, and with these higher gifts as well, and it's like before we knew ourselves as the wounded inner child, and we started to hold the wounded inner child within pure love, and when we are able to do that in an unconditional way and accept ourselves fully as well as others, of course, then the inner child knows itself as magical, as playful, and this is when we start becoming playful and magical, and the higher creativity starts to open up. And this is not just regular creativity, it has to do with our soul gifts, and of course it doesn't have to be anything earth-shattering, like I always say, because we have these perceptions in our head that all of these things that are related to our higher spiritual nature are like something just beyond us, but they are not. They are you, so they will also be something grounded, but at the same time they carry this high frequency. So it's the grandness of frequency that we feel within, rather than something earth-shattering in the world. So it'll be this pure creativity that starts to open up. And for example, when I was going through this stage, I started making these wands, I started working with crystals, and all of this was going on. And also at these stages of unconditional love and the divine love, we also start drawing a lot of relationships to ourselves. And of course before this we might have also done that, but whereas those relationships have more to do with healing, this is truly when we start to meet the soulmate frequencies, in all of our friendships and our interactions and just life in general. It's not even only about people. And the creativity and the magic and the playfulness that we know within ourselves is felt in the external as well as synchronicity. So yeah, those are some of the characteristics of unconditional love. Now we move to the stage of divine love, which is a higher vibration than unconditional love. It's to do with an equal balance of feminine as well as masculine. So what happens is, at this stage when we start moving into divine love, then these initiations start happening that relate to our masculine nature as well, in balance with the feminine that we have already activated. And this has the masculine has to do with discernment. So in relationships especially, we might, and other things, we will be presented with certain choices where we need to choose ourselves. And most often these are initiations when we need to be able to say no to certain things. And this might sound a bit negative, but it's really not, because again, saying no to something is saying yes to another. So when we know ourselves as not just this loving being who is able to hold space for others, but we recognize that our time and our energy is important and it is aligned with the divine will, it is aligned with something higher, then we honor ourselves and our service. And it's not just about showing up freely for everyone and in any situation and depleting our energy, because the master, when we start really moving into self-mastery, because the divine love is the balance of the masculine and feminine. So a master knows that he or she has to serve, and service is about making specific decisions, because you recognize the responsibility that you have to show up in a certain way, at a certain, for a certain thing, and spirit is always guiding you. So those nudges are to be followed, and often it will be through these relationship mirroring that happens, and we will be required to make certain choices that maybe upset others also. And until we haven't moved into this divine love frequency, the truth is that we might be a very pure being, very loving, and we are here for this service, but we somewhere inside ourselves we still identify with things being good or bad. We haven't fully activated that. Maybe we know it at a higher level, but we need to make the physical choices in the physical and choose that and live it. So that requires really being grounded in our field, knowing what the higher choice is, and because it's about an equal of giving and receiving. That is what divine love is. So it's not just about freely being there for others and showing up, but it's knowing whether the flow is occurring in balance or not, whether there's an equal amount of give and take. And wherever this is happening, that is where our service is. And we have to know that this is not something selfish. And when we let go of this idea of selfish and unselfish, and instead we hold this higher space of service and showing up again, like I'm saying, for where our service is, where we are divinely guided, what the right choice is, then that's when we move into the state of divine love. So let me see, I have things written down. And divine love, by the way, is associated with the color magenta. So it's a deeper color than the soft pink. Magenta is a mix of pink and blue. So already we can see that the feminine has merged with the masculine blue. So that's why it's an equal of masculine and feminine, of that softness and receptivity, as well as being able to give, but in a balanced way, knowing where it needs to flow, and being able to make the right choices in the physical, and not in a way that not being scared of upsetting others, and knowing that there's a higher plan, and that everything within it is taken care of. So all of those people that you think you need to take care of, they are actually also they also have a higher self just like you, and they are taken care of within the divine plan. So long as we are just giving away our energy without making the right discerning choices, there is kind of a frequency of pity in that, because you feel that someone else, if we are being really truthful and we go within ourselves, we somewhere we still feel that the other kind of needs us, and like they are not capable enough. And when we let go of this and we hold everyone within a higher potential, their higher potential, then we make space for their empowerment also. It's like the mother, when the child, let's say, is being a little grumpy, then of course we receive the child within love, but also we need to make enough space and allow enough non-attachment, so that the child also becomes empowered, that it's not about coddling the child. So when we actually allow this for ourselves as well as others, then that is equality in truth. Until that time, we don't yet fully know equality within the cells, within the body. We might maybe understand it at a mental level, but certain choices need to be made which are in alignment. So this is really important, and this is where most of these beings, who are very pure, they are here to serve as volunteer souls, but this kind of a thing needs to happen, certain choices, and also certain choices that are aligned with your mission, because often we upset others with these choices, like lifestyle choices, like eating healthy, maybe if you're turning vegan, or you want to do some work that is related to your self-mastery and related to your service in the world, and you express it to your family. This is what happened with me at this stage, and also some people that I know. So when we often it can cause a lot of turmoil, and these triggers, we trigger others with this new, and yet we need to hold space for ourselves and actually be able to hold others in that potential that they are able to take care of themselves. It's not our duty to just give off our energy, and everybody is an individual. It's about knowing your energy versus someone else's, so everyone is an individual. It's their own duty to to handle their own energy, to make their own choices. So we need to be able to know what is our truth and what is the right choice for us, and be able to stand ground and physically also take action, make the choice in the physical. So when we start to do this, then the masculine side also starts to balance with the feminine space of love that we hold for everyone anyway. And that's what becomes divine love, because now we are not just able to receive others and not judge them, but we are also able to make the right discerning choices. And this is when we are truly ready to serve, and this is when the service frequency opens up actually, and where we will be guided to make those more radical shifts, and we will start to see ourselves serve in a new way, in something that's grander than us. So let me see what else is there that I have written down. So divine love is when you realize that you can not only hold love unconditionally, but also that you have a choice and discernment. A big part of this stage is being able to say no, and a big part of this stage is discernment. A big part of this stage is also taking action, right action. So it's the soft feminine space of holding love and unconditional acceptance, but you know where this service is most needed. You don't just give off your energy to anyone at any time or accept what others are saying as your truth, because it's about that activation of knowing what our own truth is and then being able to act in it. So it also becomes important now for me to mention something. And I know that a lot of people are not gonna like this, but I have to say it because I serve truth, and truth is about being grounded. So bringing a grounded perspective can be helpful in our self-mastery. And the thing that I want to say is that know that there's not a lot of beings on the planet who have activated the divine love frequency yet. Divine love is the 5th dimensional frequency, whereas unconditional love was upper 4th dimension. Divine love is 5th dimension. And even those souls who are very pure, they are here as volunteer souls. A lot of them are in their early 20s, mid 20s. I don't know anybody below the age of 30 who has activated this divine love yet. And it doesn't also mean that if you are above this age that this has happened for you. Just in truth, it's important to know that this frequency has moved on the planet, and a lot of us are living our ascension in different ways. We are vegan, we might even be serving, we have these different services. It doesn't mean though that the frequency has landed at a physical level. You might be doing a lot of these things that I'm describing already in your life, but for that frequency to physically land, this is something else. So we need to keep making those choices that are aligned with what is right for us. And it's about divine timing. So this initiation happens for you when it's the right time. And often I have seen, I don't want to say that there's a certain age related to this, because this is not true at all. But I have seen that the Saturn return, which happens around the age of 28 to 30, is what can trigger those bigger changes within us. Where we go through a lot of upheaval, and then a lot of grounded, mature lessons come, because that's what Saturn is about. And that this is what divine love is about, the grounding. So far, a lot of people who have moved into this stage, they would have probably gone through the Saturn return first. But the potential keeps changing on the planet, and it keeps getting lighter. And, the people who come consecutively, they will be moving to a higher vibration at a, let's say, faster rate. This is the potential. So it's not about, limiting yourself at all. But why I want to mention this is that because I know that there's a lot of volunteer souls out there. They're very pure. They are already living their mission. But you have to know that it's not about hurrying up, because I know that you always feel like you're not doing enough, and we can have that feeling. But you have to know that in the now, whatever you are doing, it's already enough, and this is what you are ready for. If you were ready for something else, it would be here in the now. And always, the best way that we feel in this incarnation, and the best way that we can serve, is by working with what is here and what we are ready for. So it doesn't matter what stage it is or anything like that, but you are always working with love anyway. So be really unconditionally accepting of yourself, and again, it's, if you are devoted to this process and you have put your all into it, that's all that's needed. Just because certain experiences are needed in life also. A certain age can activate certain experiences, because let's say you have a child, somebody who's just gone into college. They need to go through certain relationships, certain experiences in life, which can bring that grounded wisdom. And divine love is activated in a state of groundedness. So the more grounded that we are, the more that we always flow with the stream of love, and the more it's just a smooth process of coming into ourselves. And I've already mentioned that the unconditional love frequency has to do with the upper fourth dimension. Divine love is the fifth dimension, and at this level, the divine love initiation, this is related to the higher heart. So this is the higher heart activation, and the higher heart activation keeps happening even before this stage, which a lot of beings will be feeling and perhaps mistaking as divine, as fully having moved into divine love, because the process can take a different amount of time for everyone. It can be several years, it can be several months, it can be anything. So when the higher heart fully activates, the magenta heart, the inner heart within us, the spiritual heart, this is when we move into the state of divine love, and that is what the fifth dimensional frequency is. At this stage, we have only now, fully transcended duality. Before this, we might be very pure beings, we might be serving, but there is still something within us where we haven't released the concept of something being good versus another being bad, So just really feel into this. And if you are still associating something as good and another as bad, then just life will present you with those opportunities to see that, and then just be there in the now for it. That's the best that we do, and the highest way in which we serve. And when we come into ourselves in this way, and we are always living ourselves, that is the highest service. So these divine love initiations, the higher heart activation, when this is happening, a lot can happen related to relationships, whether that's with your family or friends, whoever. But you might be asked to let go of some relationships, or say no to certain people, or for certain things. They might be very loving beings, but certain choices need to be made that are right for you. And so a certain level of non-attachment needs to happen, and we need to make those choices. And often, this is through those triggers. We all need to go through this, we can go through this. It can feel quite challenging when the higher heart activates, because we're moving to this to the state of being that the planet hasn't known so far, And when you actually go through this process, it won't be something that is doubtful to you. Just like, when we initially have the awakening process, which is more related to the green heart chakra space rather than the higher heart. And we all know when we went through it, because it was just something so big, right? It's not something we miss. So the higher heart activation is also one such big initiation, a significant one, and it's not something that we will have any doubts about once it happens. And also there will be a lot of through synchronicity, there will be a lot of hints coming through spirit related to this vibration, whether it's the color magenta, or things related to the higher heart, etc. But of course that doesn't mean just because you're seeing a lot of this in your life that it automatically means that this has activated for you. It needs to be something that's felt within. So you will be you may be asked to let go of some relationships. You may have to make choices that don't agree with others. And yeah, those are some things. Let me see what else I wrote down. Then the eyes, they really change. The eyes are the mirrors to our soul, and they can show a lot. When a being is going through the unconditional love, when they are moving into this frequency of unconditional love, the soft pink vibration, you will see the eyes also start to become pure. They have this purity, and you will see like this innocent energy that is related to this purity and the way that we were birthed, from creation. And they have this pure, almost childlike energy, or this feminine, soft energy. Whereas when we move into the higher states and divine love, it starts to have that more masculine quality also, which is related to a state of groundedness, and just being grounded. I don't know how else to explain it. It's just something that is felt. I can always feel it. It's just in the countenance of a person. So what I also wanted to mention is to show you some crystals. So this because crystals can help us along our process, and this is rose quartz. I don't think you can see it. Yeah, and you can see it's a soft pink color, just like the coat that I have on, soft pink. Whereas divine love is related to the magenta, which is this pink tourmaline. You can see this crystal. So this is a higher vibrational crystal, which I would highly recommend for you to wear, or to have with you. So yeah, I just wanted to show you these crystals. If that is something that you resonate with, you can have them in your sacred space, or wear them as jewelry as well. This can help us to maintain a steady state, because crystals, they hold a vibration, and they are able to steadily hold it. Whereas we might go through some emotions in the day and things shift a little bit. Crystals send out a vibration that's steady, and in this case it's a higher vibration as well. So when we wear these crystals, then they can help to activate that within us, which is already something within us. It's not external, that's found in a crystal, but just like when you go out into nature and it has this beautiful aura, and it helps to activate it from within. It's just so readily available. That's how it feels when we go out into nature versus when we're just at home. And crystals can have that kind of same effect. So these are useful crystals to buy if you are moving through these stages, and for this for them to open up. So if you have enjoyed this video, you can subscribe to my channel, which will be over here. And also the funny thing is that it was just today that I announced the Kundalini activation services that I have. This is a new service, and one of these is the higher heart activation. So I have different kind of activations, and of course the higher heart activation or the divine love activation is one of the most important along the ascension process. So I also have this as a service. It's a Skype session that you can do with me, where I take you into a sacred space, and we work with your own guides, and it helps to activate the higher heart. And you can read more about it if it's something you're interested in. My services will be on this side. You can click here to subscribe, click here, and I will see you very soon in the next video.